Hi, it's Ursula from EasyScraps.com, and today I'm going to do a different type of video. It's actually going to be more project-based. I got this really cool ledger paper from a friend of mine who has an Etsy shop called Upcycle and Remix, and if you go to the EasyScraps.com /blog, I'll have a post there with the link directly to her Etsy shop. But in any event, I bought this cool ledger paper. It's really old, and so it's already pre-aged, which is great because I have something cool to start with. And I wanted to do a project with it. So today, not a ton of new techniques, just kind of a neat idea, quick and easy, simple project to do with antique papers. And most collage and mixed media artists know this trick, that if you find aged paper, it's a really good thing to start with. So you can use pieces of it in your artwork. And for a quick and easy card, if you already have something that has lines and writing on it, it already adds some visual interest to your project from the get-go. And so there's a lot less that you have to do to make a card look really fun and interesting. So that's what we're going to be starting with today, and I hope you enjoy this video. Sit back, relax, and let's get started. So the first project that I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to take the ledger paper. I'm not going to age it. I like the darkened bit that's already there. I could darken it up a little bit if I wanted to using my trusty Distress inks, but I kind of like the way it's looking right now, so I'm going to leave it alone for just this minute. And I think the only thing that I'm going to do to kind of take it up a notch is add a little bit of script to it. Now, some of the paper, if you can see on the other side, some of the ledger paper actually comes with writing on it, which is really fun. But if it doesn't, no fear. I have a script stamp, of course made by Easy Scraps, and I'm going to use that to just kind of stamp here and there. So while I'm talking, I'm just going to ink it up with my Vintage Photo Distress ink. And I'm just going to stamp kind of haphazardly here and there. I don't really want to make it super dark. I just want to kind of add some interest to the background. Okay. And then if I wanted to, I could take the ink pad and just kind of go around the edges. Then I pre-cut another piece of the ledger paper just into a die cut shape. This is actually an Easy Scraps one that I had custom made. And so I'm going to ink this because I want to kind of make this a little bit darker. So I'm going over it first with antique linen, and that doesn't seem to be dark enough. So now I'm going to grab my Vintage Photo and go over it with that. It's a little bit darker. And what that does is it's going to make it a shade darker than the background, so when I layer it, it's actually going to stand out. I think I actually might want it just a little bit darker. And then if you want, you can go even heavier around the edges. Sometimes I'll even use black to go around the edges and give them a little bit more oomph. So there we go, there's that. And then the last thing I'm going to do, because really truly I love this paper, I think it kind of stands on its own. Hopefully this ink pad seems really dry. I'm going to ink up a word stamp, and I like making kind of generic cards in advance. that just have a word on them that can be used for multiple occasions. So I'm just using the word special. So I could use it for a graduation, I could use it for a thank you, I could use it for a happy birthday. And that's pretty much it for a quick and easy page. Because I started with something that already had some visual interest to it to begin with, I could just layer those pieces and have a pretty interesting card, quick and easy. And so if I'm in a pinch, I would pretty much do something like that. So then the other thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to take this ledger paper and I wanted to play around with it using something called pan pastels. Pan pastels are pastels or chalks, but they're a little bit creamier than a lot of the ones that you can find. Maybe if you're a stamper, you have chalks that tend to be very, very dry. These chalks are very creamy. They're almost, to some degree, like a paint. In fact, my original idea for a video for today was to do a portrait and paint with the pan pastels. And then I found out Pam Carricker, who's a really good artist, had already done one. So I was not about to compete with Pam Carricker. So I'm going to do something different. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Versamark and do the Versamark Resist technique. And I'm going to just use the same stamps. I know I haven't really cleaned them, but we're going to let it slide for today. So I'm going to ink up with Versamark, and I'm going to stamp on the background. And again, just kind of here and there. And then I'm going to take my pan pastels, and actually they come in different ways. You can get them in different combinations, but they all have 4 shades. So right here I have the lightest, the medium, and the darker. There's actually a darkest shade. And they come in these cool containers. And I'm just going to take one of their sponge tools, and I'm going to start with the lightest color. And where the ink is, it's going to stick to the ink. And that's a little light, but that's okay. It's kind of, I wanted to go for a two-toned look anyway. And now I'm going to go over with a darker color. And then last step, the darkest one. Then I have a cutout of a butterfly, and that cutout actually matches one of our stamps. So I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not sure this is going to show up well if you can see the butterfly. It's actually got writing on it. I may regret this, but what the heck, I'm going to go for it. So, stamp over it in Versamark. And then do the same thing, my pan pastels, grab some color, and go over to do the Versamark Resist technique. And I use the darkest color. And I think that looks better. And so you still have the text kind of showing through, and then the color from the Versamark Resist. And then you can layer it over the background. And again, stamp a sentiment. going to stick with my word special. Color that over. And then if I wanted, I could even go back over and add some additional ink. Maybe I want to bring up the aged look. So I can still go back over with my Distress inks and add a little bit of Distress over the top of the pastels. And I like that. And then one thing that I sometimes do, I know they make coffee stamps. Excuse my reach. I know they make coffee stamps, you know, coffee ring stamps, but I am never without my coffee cup. So a lot of times when I need something extra, I will pour a little bit and then kind of dip my coffee mug in it and actually use it on my project. And I could even take drips of it. And then of course I would let this dry. Actually, I would use my embossing tool to dry it. And then layer. It's still wet. And then layer. And there we go. Another quick and easy card that you could whip up in no time and use it for multiple occasions. So, if you don't have any antique ledger paper, I think you need to go to Upcycle and Remix and grab some before it's all gone. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.